It is indeed for us an honor to be here this afternoon, to be part of the commissioning of the Corona, Slyvania and Despor segment of the Bells Penrise, Sultan Layu Park, Corona, Slyvania and Despor water supply system. And for this we extend a heartfelt thank you, first of all, to the Almighty God and Father, who always causes us to triumph. Indeed, we are triumphing this afternoon to have the commissioning of the system. This achievement is the result of the wisdom and foresight and the hard work of many, spearheaded by the government of the Commonwealth of Dominica, for which we are very, very grateful. This water system covers a very wide area, as you will realize, something that many people thought was too ambitious to undertake, especially given the sparse population of the area. But today we can all boast of this great accomplishment, which brings near 100% water coverage to all of Dominica and has positioned Dominica well ahead of many nations towards the attainment of the Sustainable Development Goals, in particular goal number 6, which seeks to ensure access to water and sanitation for all. Notwithstanding the importance and this great accomplishment, I dare say that it has come at a very high cost, well in excess of $7.5 million. Thanks to the government of the Commonwealth of Dominica and the Honorable Prime Minister for first making the initial capital available in the sum of $2.8 million as a grant to begin the works on this very important project, and further facilitating financing for the balance through the Dominica Social Security. I also want to mention the important work that our engineering department has played in ensuring that this project is completed, and also the contractor who worked really, really hard to ensure that we have this project today. The project would not have been, or should have been completed in October 2015 had it not been for the setbacks of Tropical Storm Erica. Nevertheless, we are all very pleased to be here today and on this wonderful occasion to witness water flowing through the pipes and into the homes of the residents of Corona, of Slyvania, and of the Despor communities. And we are also very pleased to say that all the other communities within the project area, as you heard, it's a wide area, will also be receiving water within the next 3 weeks. This is a clear indication of what can be accomplished when we work together as a team. I realize I'm not here to give a speech, but really to ensure that the smooth functioning of this program. And so without any further ado, I'm going to invite the chairperson of the Campbell Despor Village Council to do the official welcome here this afternoon. Make her welcome as she comes.
This afternoon marks the commissioning of the Corona, Slyvania and Despor segment of the Bells Penrise, Layu Park, Slyvania and Despor water system. The villagers of these 3 communities have been for years waiting for this day where pipe-borne water would be made available. The government promised to deliver, and with the hard work of the government of Dominica, DOASCO and contractors, we can be here today for this commissioning. Once again, a hearty welcome to all.
I want to say that without a government that has a clear vision and that is committed to development, projects like these would not happen. Oftentimes in the development process, small communities get left out because they don't have a very loud voice. So it takes a government that is focused, that understands the needs and the plights of their residents, to commit significant resources to a project and to see it through to completion. And the government of Dominica, under the leadership of the Prime Minister, has done that very effectively in the distribution and water systems throughout the country. So we want to thank them on behalf of the board and all of the employees, and really on behalf of all of the citizens of Dominica. We want to thank the government as the DOASCO organization for the resources that they have committed to DOASCO to be used to bring water wherever it is necessary for the benefit of the people of this country. And so we are very, very happy that we have the support, the commitment, and the staff and management of DOASCO are committed to expending the resources wisely, to making good use of it, to ensuring that we do not waste, and that we deliver projects on time to the best of our ability. And I think we have done that in this case, of course, with the exception that Tropical Storm Erica did set us back. Nothing we can do about that. I'm going to be very brief, but I want to mention that DOASCO is very focused on the preservation of our watersheds. If you have been following international news and global trends, we will recognize that water is becoming an extremely precious resource. Countries like Antigua and Barbuda and several of the other Caribbean islands today, as we speak, are having significant drought challenges. We are blessed in this country to have so much water flowing into our oceans, running down our valleys, and serving and keeping our life and our gardens healthy and clean. And we have to be thankful for that every day. But we must recognize that this does not just happen by accident, that we as a people in this country must cherish this resource. We must continue to protect the environment, because it is the environment that provides us with this precious resource. We must use it wisely, and we must continue to look for opportunities to benefit from this resource that we have had for hundreds of years, and hope that we will have for hundreds more years to come. So we want to encourage all of you who are here this afternoon, and all of you who will be listening via radio and television in the future, to be very conscious of the fact that we must continue to preserve and to protect the environment, protect our watersheds, to use our water wisely, to embrace DOASCO, because DOASCO is your company. It belongs to the people of this country. It is not a private company like the telephone company or the television company. DOASCO is a government-owned, people-owned company. It belongs to all of us. We must embrace it, protect it, take care of it, and conserve the resources for us and for future generations. Thank you so much.
I want to join with the General Manager of DOASCO and to say further, today is a big day for you, the people of Corona, Slyvania and Despor. Yes, a big day. One may ask, why do I say so? I say so because the Tata is here. The Tata is here, yes, the Tata is here. You may recall at this very same location, on more than one occasion, we met here. And at this juncture, permit me to express my gratitude to the General Manager of DOASCO. He was there with me on every occasion. And those of you who were there in greater numbers, that is expected then, you said, and I quote, "Parrot, all I want from you," I'm not a pastor, "all I want from you is clean, healthy drinking pipe-borne water. Can you recall that, Henry? Yes, sir. Thank you very much. And can you recall that, Mr. Knight? Yes, sir. Yes. And the person say, we will believe it when we see it and when we get it. But I want to say to you today, I want to declare here today that you already tested. I've been told that a number of you have clean, healthy pipe-borne water at your homes. Isn't that so, Mr. Knight? Yes, sir. Well, say it loudly now. Yes, sir. Yes, thank you. So it is there. It is there. And I want to say to you further, you may recall that when we came there, before the last election, and I made a promise to you, and I said that if I'm re-elected, the first year of my re-election, we shall bring you healthy drinking pipe-borne water into your homes. We kept that promise, and work began well into the first year after the election. But then came this monster storm and damaged the pipes that were already earthed in Slyvania, and they were moving into Despor. Can you recall that? I was called again to a meeting right there because we had planned to have the water into homes in December of 2015. Erica struck in August. I was called there again and asked, when is the water coming? I said to you that the Prime Minister, with a good self and good office, according to him, has to fetch the additional money. Can you recall that, Mr. Knight? Yes, sir. Merci. And here we are today. But I want to go back to the history of this project. As you heard from the general manager, it's under the Bells Penrise project. And then we had to actually make a change to ensure that we get Despor, Slyvania, and Corona connected. I went to the minister and I said to him, I hope he's not going to get vexed with me when I say that. I said to him that it had been brought to my attention that the main source for the Bells Penrise water project is coming from the heights of Corona. And incidentally, Corona is in the Mao constituency. And I'm saying that if we don't get the water from that project, then I'm not going to be happy at all. I'm pleased that both the Minister of Housing and Water Resource Management and the Honorable Prime Minister, together with the WASCO, were germane to the idea of ensuring that, notwithstanding your smallness, and I think that's important to be underscored, that you were going to be connected with healthy drinking pipe-borne water. I want to bring something to your attention. And it's very important for us to understand. We very often take things for granted, and we say that Dominica has so many rivers, isn't that so? But the water has to be brought to your homes at a significant cost. And I want to say to you something about the Labour Party administration, which is being led by our Prime Minister. There is no way that huge investment that the WASCO and this government have made into these three areas that I mentioned earlier on, that the investment is going to be recovered. Highly impossible. Why do I say that? When you combine Corona, Despor, and Slyvania, in aggregate, the households are 83. With the additional cost brought about by the passage of Erica, just for Slyvania, Despor, and Corona, the general manager spoke about the global number for the Bells, Penrise, Lyo Park, etc. water supply, $7.1 million. But for Corona, Slyvania and Despor, $2.2 million and $40. I want you, those of you, very smart people, to divide 83 by $2 million and $40. And ask me if any serious businessman who wants to recoup his money would invest in such a venture. The answer is no. It means to say, therefore, that this Labour Party administration does not attach a nominal value to the life of our people in Dominica. We cherish you, the people of Dominica. The Labour Party is about adding value to your life. And those are the things that we want to talk about going forward, is how do we, as a government and as a people, make Dominica a better place for all of us. So I'm happy. I deliberately went into the washroom when I came in. And I opened that tap, and pressure for soap. The water is there. And I'm happy about that. I'm so happy for you, the people of Despor, Slyvania and Corona. Whatever secret somebody said to you. Please, those of you who can afford, pay for your connection now. Because already we're not going to recover the cost. And I want to say to you further that I'm happy because I heard the GM spoke. And the British, there's a saying that the British never boast about themselves. The American says, if I don't, who will do it for me? And I'm sure that the Minister for Housing will not get vexed with me. And the GM of the OASC will not get, if I say it's me, Raven Blackmore will bring the water for you, you know. Because we had to make a representation. And then it is the Prime Minister and the Minister for Housing realizing your plight, notwithstanding your smallness, who gave the IDA currency. And today, we are going to have the commissioning of a water supply. I think we should put our hands together for the Minister for Housing, the Prime Minister, and the rest of us. I want to also place on record my gratitude to the owner of this property, Mr. Knight. On every occasion we met there. And all those who were asking questions and said it would never happen, I wonder why they're not here today. But I'm happy that all of us will be tasting the tata. That is what we're about in the Dominica Labour Party. It's about uplifting and adding value to the people's life. So we're getting closer and closer to the promised land in Slyvania, Despor, and Corona. We have set out for ourselves a number of things to be achieved. One of those, of course, being the water supply. When I became the member of Parliament for the area, is Cecil there? Yes. Well, thank you very much. It is needed. Cecil is there. I understood you overseas. You came back now safely. Thank you very much. Now, don't laugh, because from the bus stop that you're seeing there, on the main road in Slyvania, the intersection of Despor and Slyvania, when you got to the end of Despor, the road was a mud road. Isn't that so, Cecil? La Bukitela. Yeah. And we have been able to spend over $1 million thus far to fix the road, and we have an outstanding quantum of 40 meters to get the road to total completion. So we have actually kept our promise for the water and for the road. The next outstanding issue that all of you have been talking about and of course there's some national significance to that proposed road, is the Despor-Campbell Link Road. Right there at the Tongolo meeting, you heard our Prime Minister give the commitment. We have already gotten a project design for this road with the estimate, and we shall be moving forward to ensure that this important piece of road is actually completed, because it can serve as an escape route in the event our roads are blocked, etc. So by the time, I hope, we would have completed the Despor-Campbell Link Road, we in Despor, Corona, and Slyvania would have reached the promised land. So when I finish, if I'm still alive, my dad lived for almost 90 years, so I hope I will be. By the time we finish that road for you, please don't ask me to give you a cable to slide from Slyvania to Mau and Campbell. Because everything you told me that you wanted, you would have gotten. We have also provided free bus service for the school children of Despor and Slyvania and Corona. We will continue to assist you. We have a few houses to be built and 7 more washrooms to be completed. I feel honored to be here today to be representing you. And I feel honored to be part of the best political machinery. Don't get vexed with me, I'm a politician first, ever to be experienced in the history of Dominica politics. I wish you well. I hope you're not going to ask me to pay for water from your tap, for a glass of water. Mark will say after I brought it to you. Share it, but most importantly, do not waste it. Use it in a sustainable manner, because when you leave your pipes running, you're affecting somebody else's supply. And I forgot to make mention in closing of Mr. Shanks Esprit, who has his roots in Campbell, Despor, doesn't name it. And of course, you would know Shanks very well because he worked with the WASCO. And I know he's very happy. That's why he's here today. So thank you very much, and may the good Lord continue to bless you. And yes, the Tata is here. Thank you very much.
Sometimes you go to these functions and you don't really feel the excitement, especially when it comes to water. They created new rum. We're all very excited. We want to taste it. $1 shot, 50 cents a shot. Everybody dress up and you're going to have a drink of rum. A new band on the block, you know. A new band on the block. Everybody excited. Put your nice clothes on and so on. Short blouse, long skirt and so on. We're on the block there. A new hairstyle come, you know, everybody excited about a new hairstyle and so on. But when it comes to the issue of water, you don't feel the excitement. And maybe it's because we have so much of it, we take it for granted. But I want to say to you here in Corona and Despor and Slyvania, when you see, you start to use that water, and you get the first shortage, the first time the pipes are clogged or the landslide block the intake, then you'll see how many times you'll call Q95 to tell the WASCO to come and fix the water because you have no water. And that is the reality of the situation. Because water is so important a commodity, not only for us here in Dominica, but throughout the world. In fact, there's a saying that says, water is life. And in truth, water is life. But more importantly, with all the abundance of water that we have, the water is not free. Well, the water may be free, but taking the water here to Despor and Slyvania and Corona and Bells and Penrise, like your pal rep said, is a very expensive venture. The initial project cost, and he said what, 83 families, 83 households? There is no way in our lifetime the government or the WASCO will recover the cost of that investment. And sometimes you wonder, why is it that this government like to say, we are the first to do this, which is a reality, because you here in Despor have never had water. I understood that the reason why you have so much rain in this part is because God saw that you had a water problem, and He sent you a lot of rain so you could collect rainwater. And when the rain wasn't coming, you would pay pretty close to $150 per trip per day to truck water into a community. But you'll ask yourself, well, why is it that no other government since our independence 40 years ago found it fitting and necessary to bring water to a small community like Slyvania? $5.7 million. That was the initial cost of the water project when it started in 2014. And the money, as you heard, came from direct funding from the government, $2.8 million. And the balance was a loan secured by the WASCO, guaranteed by the government of Dominica. So let's say, because if the loan goes bad, the government of Dominica will have to pay. So let's say the entire sum of money is from the government of Dominica. Let's put it that way. And so we believe that for you here in Despor and Slyvania and Corolla, you have to be grateful. You have to show some gratitude. And when I say gratitude, I don't mean in the sense that you must vote for the government because the government gave you the water. But you must be grateful for having at last going to have, or you have, pipe-borne water, which is being enjoyed by many, many more communities in the country. In fact, that water system is historically significant, because the intention was, on the completion of the water project, we in Dominica would have reached 99.9% of access to potable water in the world. And we would have been the first country in the world to have attained that magical feat, Millennium Goal number 6 of the United Nations, the availability of potable water for mankind all on the surface of this earth. And had this water project not been interrupted by Tropical Storm Erica, we in Dominica would have ensured, through the commissioning of this water system, that 99.9% of all Dominicans had access to potable water. But the use of the water is not only important because of domestic purposes, to bathe and to drink and to wash, but the absence of potable water, the absence of water is even more critical than the water you have. Because you follow the stories all over the world, especially in Africa, in South Sudan in particular. In South Sudan, where millions are dying because of the non-availability of water. Not just potable water, but water in general. Famine, starvation, cholera. Dr. McIntyre is a medical doctor. And all the other waterborne diseases because of lack of water or stagnant water. And so it is even more critical that if we need to maintain the pristine of the environment, and our health itself is dependent on water. So Tropical Storm Erica did not only set back the water supply for these communities, but 85% of the national water supply was destroyed by Tropical Storm Erica. 85%. And the government had to move in quick time to restore, even on a temporary basis, those water systems. And it cost us somewhere in the region of $20.4 million from Tropical Storm Erica of 2015 to the first quarter of 2017, just over 2 years. The government has restored us to where we were. And so, with the commissioning of this water system, we'll be back on track to achieve our goal of 99.9% of the Dominican population having access to potable water an international feat, which we should all be proud of. And some of the major systems were new systems. The West Coast Water System, a brand new system, still under construction, was destroyed by Tropical Storm Erica. And it cost the WASCO and the government some $1.6 million. On top of the $30 million that we were spending, another $1.6 million to restore the water temporarily. As we speak, work is ongoing in Coolibee Street, trying to restore the intake at a cost of some $1.4 million. In Wesley, Woodford Hill, Marigot area, we have spent some $400,000 to restore that water system, and we intend to spend another 2.5 million to fully restore that water system. Water Area 1, the system which brings water through the entire Roseau from St. Joseph way back to Castle Comfort and in the south. We had to spend money to restore those water systems. Benz, we have to find some $2 million to restore a system that was costing us $3.4 million. We have to now find $2 million to restore that water system. And I think it's important and significant because we often ask the question, where is this money coming from to do projects like water? And like your pal rep said, water is an investment in people. It's not an investment that many people want to go into, because while the water may be cheap, you can get it for free, but it is very expensive venture to bring water to your doorstep. You can go to Ponkase, you can walk from here, go to Ponkase, dip in the river, walk back, go back there, come half an hour later, get some more water and come back. That water is for free. You can have it for free if you want. But it's costing us $7.5 million to bring the water here to you in Despor. And you have to be grateful, not to me, not to Roosevelt Scary, but to God. Let's be grateful to God for giving us the resources, making the resources available that we can provide such a simple, basic, but expensive commodity on which our survival hinges. So, we are here in Despor this afternoon, and I am excited about it, because I believe that commissioning this water supply is really giving life and new birth to the residents of Despor, Sylvania, and Corona. And what we ask of you is just to respect the water. And in respecting the water, you will most certainly take care of the systems. Because there are people in the world, ladies and gentlemen, who would use 1 gallon. They would bless you for life if you give them 1 gallon or 1 bottle of Dominica water as a gift. They would give you all their gold, all their silver, all your jewel, just to have this 1 gallon of water that we in Dominica take for granted. But I want to say to you that we can no longer continue to take water for granted. And as the chairman of the WASCO mentioned, our watersheds are under attack, especially after Tropical Storm Erica. Our water catchment areas, because these days before it rains, you have to shut down because the water is turning brown. We have to spend more and more money taking those intakes higher and higher up the mountains, because from the levels at which they are, they can no longer supply our needs. And if the environment is being degraded, then our water supply, you know the amount of dry rivers we have in this country. You pass and you saw, you who grew up here, the Bells River was a big, large river. You could stay from one point and dive and everything would be okay. You dare to dive in the Bells River now and you're going to end up breaking your neck, your leg, or your hands or your fingers, because the water level is very, very low. And it should say to us that we're losing that very precious commodity called water. But we can restore it, we can preserve it, we can prolong its life by exercising best practices in the preservation and conservation of our water systems. You in Despor, your farming community, your dashing and your yams and so on, we cut the trees, we plant food to it, which is necessary. But you need to understand that every tree you cut is a reduction in your water source, a reduction in your water supply. And if you continue to farm indiscriminately, if we continue to burn charcoal and pay little regard to our water resources, give us another 50 years, which will be many of us' lifetime. We live long here in Dominica, and we all here shall live beyond 100. Before we expire, the Bells River will have less water in it. There'll be less water coming through your taps, less water coming to your systems, until when that population begins to expand, we will not have sufficient water for everybody in Bells. So you, this generation, you, the people present here, have an obligation to provide and to protect and to leave a legacy for the next generation. And that legacy is to ensure that the people of Dominica will always continue to have fresh, clean, pipe-borne water for our survival. Before I leave, I just need to say to you that another very important aspect of the water, it's the complementary acts of our sanitation program, our eradication of pit latrines program. Because no matter how modern we build your latrine, unless you have the water to go with it, it will be of no use or no value. You'll have to be carrying water in a bucket to fill the tank to flush it, carry water in a bucket to fill the tank to flush it. And so water is going to be a very important component of the sanitation program. And we have spoken about the sanitation program ad nauseum, and I'm not going to repeat it and go back to it. But what I can say to you is we have formed a partnership and an alliance with the WASCO, where for those of you who already had your washrooms, like many of you in these beautiful houses, but you had no water connection because there was no water, the WASCO is offering, as partnership with the government on that program, a free water connection and free water for 3 months. So you will be able to make the adjustment from not having to pay for water to now having to pay for water. And we also offering that for those people who never had any water, to also give you a free water connection. Once your plumbing is complete, you fill out the form, you take it to the WASCO, we will also give you 3 months, we'll give you a free water connection, and we'll give you 3 months of free water so you can make the adjustment. It's going to be important that we pay our bills. Too many people are delinquent at the WASCO. And it's not only you. Well, you're not delinquent because you never had to pay for water. So I mark in, I will be following up with the WASCO to see how many people from Bells, Corona, and Slyvania, even after having given you 3 months of water, to see how many of us pay in our water. But too many people in this country not meeting their obligation and their commitment to pay a small fee in comparison to the $5.7 million that the WASCO and the government had to find for you here in Corona, Despor, and Slyvania. All we're asking you is to pay back to the WASCO 20, 30, 40, and if you conserve and you use water wisely, $15 a month. That's what you may have to pay if you use the water wisely and you conserve your water. But the system will need maintenance. That's not the end of the water for Slyvania, Despor, and Corona. It has to be maintained. The intake has to be cleaned occasionally. And now with this rainy season, every time it rains tomorrow morning, somebody have to go up there and clean the intake. Otherwise, there'll be no water or there'll be dirty water. The lines have to be changed. The water system has to be maintained. How are we going to maintain it? We give you the water, we give you free connections, and you expect the government to pass now and to pay to clean the intake. The contribution that you will make by pay is a contribution you're making by paying your water bill. Will assist you here in Bells, Slyvania, and Corona to ensure that you have a continuous and sustainable water supply. But I'm very happy for you here. I've had water almost all my life. I know pipe-borne water. But for you here, I believe this is an opportunity for you, the people of Despor, Slyvania, to raise the standard of living just one notch, just because you have a simple thing called water, and you have a simple company called the WASCO, and you have a simple people's-minded government like the Dominica Labour Party government. This is not about how much money we can make of the people of Despor. We will make no money. But we have a moral obligation and a promise and a commitment we made to you, the people, that we will raise your standard through housing, through education, health, water systems, all this which we don't consider to be money-making activities, but just investment in the social and economic development of the people of Dominica. But today is for the people of Despor, Slyvania, and Corolla. And finally, I would like to thank the chairman of the board of the director of the WASCO, the board of the WASCO, the manager and staff of the WASCO, for paying such attention to our water resources and for responding, because sometimes we put a lot of pressure. The government, I call and where's the water for the people and where is, and that's why Mr. Hill said I can be very rough on the management side, because it cannot be done for an answer. I don't take no for an answer. There's no water in Despor. The people of Despor need their money. Get the water, credit the pipe, go by Egbert Charles, get the fittings, fix the people's water. That is what we're all about. And so I really, really have to thank the WASCO for their tolerance, their patience, but their commitment to ensuring that all of Dominica continue to receive a reliable and sustainable supply of fresh drinking water. Thank you, and may God continue to bless you, the people of this constituency.
Pleasure to be here this evening, to celebrate with you, because it is in fact a celebration of getting water to your homes. Let me say that in respect to Slyvania, in large measure, this is a private development. And in the law of the country, it is the responsibility of the developer to provide you with the infrastructure. And the infrastructure includes access to potable drinking water. And it is a matter which confronts the government, because in many of these private developments, people buy properties on the understanding that the developer would provide the infrastructure once he starts selling a few lots. But after 100 lots later, we still do not have roads, water, electricity, and the other amenities. So you will hear people say, well, we do not have water in this particular area. And in most times, it is because it is a private development. So we spend a lot of money bringing water, potable water, to these private developments. We're not necessarily complaining. All we're saying is that it could have saved us tremendous sums of money to be spent elsewhere had the developers kept to their commitment, their legal obligation to the new landowners. I must commend the leadership of Honorable Blackmore, who is a member of Parliament, because he is correct when he says
that the contract was really originally, while we had the full scope of works to be done, including Despor and Slyvania and Corona, those communities were not part of the original contract. The original contract focused entirely on Penrice and Bells. And Mr. Blackmore came to me, and of course he went to the Minister for Housing to say, look, why don't we amend the contract or create new contracts to allow for the entire communities of Despor, Campbell, Slyvania and Corona to be included in the water project. And at the time, we did not have the additional sums of money because it was a significant sum. But we gave a commitment that we should proceed based on the request and strong representation of your Member of Parliament. And in a matter of a few weeks later, the decision was taken to include these communities as part of the housing of the water project. So I really want to commend the leadership and representation of Honorable Blackmore. Because oftentimes we as citizens and residents in communities, we criticize, but it's always good to take time off to recognize when representation has been excellent and when there are deliverables based on your own requests. I also want to commend the leadership of Honorable Austri, who has been the Minister for Water-related matters for a very long time. And he has provided the ministerial leadership that's required to ensure that we could have, in a revolutionary way, create access to water across Dominica. But not only new communities, but enhancing and upgrading many water systems across Dominica. And replacing asbestos pipes in many communities, including in Goodwill and Rosa. Many parts of Goodwill, when we came into office, and when I became Prime Minister, there were still asbestos pipes. And I was shocked to know that we still had asbestos pipes, even in urban communities, like Goodwill. So we spent significant sums of money replacing pipes across the country. And my estimation is that in the years that I've been Prime Minister of this country, we have invested from various sources of funding over $150 million in water projects across Dominica. $150 million. And Mr. Blackmore is correct. Sometimes we, Honorable Austri, when they say that we normally take these things for granted, because all we see is this clean stuff coming from our pipes. We do not think of the infrastructure to get it to our homes. And in some communities, there is a massive recurrent expenditure because we have to pump the water. So either we have a generator pumping the water, or we have electricity from Dominica. Now you can imagine if you have a pump running 24/7. Just imagine you have a little fridge and a little light bulb at your home, and how much you will pay Dominica every month. Imagine pumping water up a hill to get to several homes on a 24-hour basis. It's a significant sum. But this government is committed to ensuring that every single home, every single community in Dominica has access to potable water. Because when I visited communities, I went into the heights of Marigot and Monkey Hill area, and I saw where in the first decade of the 21st century, people's water were coming from. That's where they were drinking. I said, but to the then party, but how could we have people drinking water from this? The truth is, you will not even allow other creatures to have access to this water, far more human beings. And immediately, we provided the funding to have this water system constructed for the people of, I believe, Monkey Hill, they call it, in the Heights of Marigot. North End. And this is the case in Girodale, Eggleston. Girodale, Eggleston, Castle Comfort, where you have big houses and the middle class and upper middle class living, an urban setting, had no access to pipe-borne water when I became Prime Minister of the country. And governments before me felt that the cost of bringing water to these people did not worth it. So they looked at it purely from an economic, hard currency investment, like what a private sector firm would have done. But I felt, and I still believe, that water and people's access to water should not be looked at as hard economic investments. Because not having water in these communities, you are denying the people a number of opportunities to create wealth for themselves and to maintain high hygienic practices. So we must not look at water purely from how much profit you can make from a water investment. The monies we have invested there, $7.7 million, it will take us a lifetime to make the money back based on how much you're paying. A lifetime. Because not only is this a major capital investment, but there is a significant sum to maintain the water supply. There's a significant sum to maintain the water supply. So let us not look at it and treat it as if it is nothing. It is a major achievement for us here in this part of this country. I also want to thank and recognize the efforts of the chairman, Mr. Hill, for the professional manner in which he has been conducting the leadership at the board level, and to also thank the board members for their continued service to the WASCO and of course the country as a whole. They put in a lot of their own time into overseeing the management of the WASCO, and we owe them a debt of gratitude. I also want to thank the manager of the WASCO, Mr. Etinoff, who has been exemplary. And I keep saying to people, if I mention a name like this in the public, you really get marks, because I don't give marks easily. You have to earn it. And I think Mr. Etinoff has earned the marks for the manner in which he has been conducting and managing the affairs of the WASCO. And to all the staff of the WASCO, especially the least of the apostles, the people who have to go out, whether it's heavy rain, whether it's storm, whether it's hot sun, whether the place is dangerous, because all of us are complaining we have no water, pipes are broken, and they have to go out there and fix those pipes for us to allow for there to be water reconnection and access to water. We always have to give particular praise to these people in the efforts of I must say, by and large, the WASCO has been responsible. When they dig a road, they fix it back up quickly. So there has been some improvement, but we still have to do a little more. I know whenever I come to the WASCO meetings and so on, they always worry what I'm going to say, because, they say, what's Kerry going to say about us this time, But you can relax this evening. You don't need to be stiff. But I'm very happy to be here for you, and to say that we are committed to making the resources available to the WASCO towards our march of ensuring that we have 100% access to potable water. I say to you that we have to appreciate these things, because in developed countries that are in the top 10 economies of the world, in these countries, there are millions of their citizens who do not have access to water. Millions. And we must not take these things for granted as a small country. because there are many parts of the world that are much richer than us, but they're unable to have access to this water. We have to use the water wisely. If, when there is no water, we can live with little, why should we have the taps running while we're soaping ourselves? If we can brush our teeth with a little bit of water, why should we have the tap running while we're brushing our teeth? All of these things, and then, we complain, well, I get a high water bill. You pay precisely for what you consume with DOASCO. They do not overcharge you. As a matter of fact, truth be told, they are not charging you enough. They are not charging us enough. That's a fact. But because we in the cabinet, we believe that we must make water affordable to every citizen of the country, we have kept the rates where they are. We have kept the rates where they are. When you spend $50 million of a loan to put in place a water and sewage project in the city of Rosa, and when you look at what businesses are paying and what private homeowners are paying, there is nowhere in the world, my dear brothers and sisters, including great nations like West America, where you'll be paying that kind of minuscule amount for this expensive service which DOASCO and the government are providing to you. People pay next to nothing. Next to nothing. And Minister Austria is correct. All of these monies are loans guaranteed by DOASCO, because DOASCO is a 100% owned company of the state. So all of DOASCO's liabilities are that of the state. So anytime DOASCO would be unable to honor its debts, they must write to me as the Minister of Finance to ask that I provide the funding to pay their creditors. And therefore, we must not put unnecessary pressure and burden on the water system. Let us be conservative with the use of water, because the more we respect the use, the less there is a cost to the DOASCO. Because when we use the water in a very quick manner, we have to treat it more often, and maintain the water system. So it's not cheap. It's not cheap. Because even the government, our water bill is huge. We pay DOASCO, is it $249 per standpipe? Or it's more now? $290. $290. It has increased. I didn't realize that. $290. For every standpipe you see in Dominica, that's what the government pays to DOASCO. There's a shareholders meeting, and I am one of the representatives of the shareholders, the taxpayers of the country, the citizens of the country. And I'm hoping that we will start looking at DOASCO paying the government rent for the government's property, which it currently occupies, and which is not paying, so we can offset the rent against the huge bill which DOASCO owes to the government. So I'm seeing that everybody is taking note, who are representatives of the shareholders, so we can discuss it as an agenda item. So, but I'm very happy to be here, and I would not have missed this occasion for anything, because I understand how important water is and a huge difference it can make in everybody's lives. Do not take this for granted. And I really want to commend the efforts of Honorable Blackmore for the kind of representation he provided us. And he really made a case. And sometimes, as I said, we take these things for granted, and we should really not take this for granted. And people always say, well, that is a responsibility of the government and so forth. And my simple response to them, why wasn't it done? Because this is not the first government we've had. We've had many governments before this one. But you have to, as leaders in this country, you must have an appreciation for where you want to take your country. How are you going to take your country there? And what are the resources you need to mobilize to allow you to effect those lofty goals for the country? And whenever we set goals for a country, our people always question whether we can achieve this. We must certainly always look for the skies in terms of our ambition. So when we said we were going to go and get Dr. Carissa Etienne elected as the director of PAO, many people laughed at us. Which small country can get a Dominican, a lady from Massac, of working class family, parents, elected? Not appointed, elected. Everyone, countries had to vote. And we got her elected. You know, beating countries like Costa Rica. And Costa Rica had its entire treasury at the back of its candidate. I mean, when you saw their manifesto and all of the stuff they had promoting the candidate, I mean, there's no way we could have competed. But because of the relationship that we have engendered over the years, we're able to get countries to support us. Countries like the United States of America, countries like Mexico. Mexico even offered their embassies across the PAHO region as our base to assist in the campaign. That's the extent of the relationships that we have been able to engender for our country. And this is why it's important for us to think positively about our country. And we have to do positive things for our country. Because this is our country. We're all citizens, and even if we migrate, yes, you may become a citizen of another country. But in the United States now, with the new laws that they've passed, any minor infraction of the United States laws, you'll be deported. And you'll have to come back home. So there are people who believe that because they no longer have a Dominican passport and they have another country's passport, that they'll be citizens of those countries forever. There are people who went to the United States at age 3 months, no connection to the Caribbean, but have found themselves with difficulties in the law, and they're deported to our countries. So far less if you went to America at age 45 or age 25 or age 30. And therefore we have to defend and protect that which we have worked hard to get our country to this level. And we have to move away from this notion in our minds, especially people who ought to know better, that the unrelenting smear campaign against our country is not going to affect one person called Roosevelt Skerry. And I keep saying to people in this country that I am satisfied that I may be the least person affected by all of this. Because at the end of the day, for the vast majority of Dominicans, Dominica will be the only place we will ever be able to call home. And when we burn it down, and when we destroy it, and when we seek to turn investors away so that we can't create jobs for our own children, and we seek to cut the source of funding that is required to help make life better for every single one of us, what kind of Dominica would we have? So I ask you, while you are drinking your fresh glass of water, to meditate upon these things. Meditate upon these things. There is just too much negativism in our country. People see things too much from a partisan lens. Everything has to be color. And people are not working diligently because they may not be supporting the government. When you do not do your work diligently, and the country has to find the resources to fix what you're not doing properly, every one of us who works in the country has to pay for it. Because the money in the treasury is not mine. I'm not the one paying taxes. And we have a limited source of revenue. And I have not met any Dominican who has told me, look, boss, man, I will pay more taxes, I'm not paying enough taxes in Dominica. Everybody whom I've met keep telling me that they paid too much taxes, including those who don't pay taxes at all. So I want to commend DOASCO for another successful implementation of a water project, and to say that you have in the government a solid partner who understand the needs and the need to bring water to the households across Dominica. And Minister Austri spoke about the partnership which DOASCO has with the government, where the government pays for the construction of the washroom facility for our residents, and DOASCO comes in and provides the connection free of charge for those beneficiaries. So it's a good partnership. And these partnerships can only be consummated because of good management. We have to continue to run DOASCO in a prudent and responsible manner, as the government has been doing since it came into office, managing the affairs of this country in a prudent and responsible manner. Because in small economies like ours, that are highly exposed to external shocks and natural disasters, we have to manage the affairs of a country in a prudent and responsible manner. And that, in my mind, and in the view of regional and international independent advisors, has been the hallmark of this administration. Taking decisions, but taking them in a responsible manner for the greater good of our country. I wish to congratulate all of you who will be receiving this water, and to thank God for providing us with the resources required to fulfill that promise to you. May God bless you. Thank you.
In a 2015 United Nations report, Regina McCover stated that fresh water sustains human life and is vital to health. The report also indicates that 783 million people do not have access to clean water. It is with heartful gratitude that I express sincere thanks to the government of Dominica, the management and staff of DOASCO, and our very own parliamentary representative, Honorable Raymond Blackmore, for having the foresight to recognize the importance of bringing pipe-borne water to the communities of Slyvania, Despor, and Corona. Water is just not a luxury, but a necessity. There is no doubt that the abundance and availability of fresh water will enhance the quality of life of the people in the communities. On behalf of the communities of Slyvania, Despor, and Corona, I wish to extend our profound thanks to all the individuals who made this historic day a possibility. Thank you.